So Gears of War Remaster.
Alleged remaster. I think
Okay,
we
well,
need to
reported.
we need to be clear about that from the
Yes.
get go.
Yeah, let's reportedly.
Need to be very clear on that.
We've still not seen anything official. There's no official word about this. Um, they have. There's been several articles, a screenshot, and some people. I think like Butter. I saw. I saw he posted a video like yesterday or today or something like that. He's going all out for it right now. Like he's like, "Here's his back!" Ah! So he posted quite a few videos, but I saw him post one yesterday, and he did the same thing as Iceman. He said something like, "A credible source has told me that the game is going to be out in 2015." So, you know, look, I don't know who was talking to him. I don't know who was talking to Iceman.
There's a credible
Iceman's was
source in
like,
that.
Iceman's was like a credible source who's like a friend of a friend of a tester. Basically told him that about some of the stuff that's coming in the game. So, you know, I have to be very cautious with the information that's being reported, obviously, and I want to continue to stress that I'm super amped. I'm glad Like Butter is amped. I'm glad who else is posting? Shadows is amped. I saw Razored Edge posted a video. He seems pretty amped. Gold Glove might have posted something. I don't know. I know he tweeted something. So it seems like everybody's generally pumped to see that there could potentially be a remaster, but there's been no official confirmation from anybody. Not Microsoft, not Black Tusk, not Splash Damage, not what is the Pixel Wax, something like that. Whatever the hell
Even
that
even the person
plastic
who leaked
wax.
the screenshot of the playlist in the main menu screen didn't actually post any gameplay stuff. So personally, I'm like super apprehensive, but that's we can speculate a bit.
Right.
Have
So
some fun with it.
here we go. Okay, you guys ready? All right. So first off, this is reportedly coming to Xbox One. We've heard 1080p, 60 FPS. Is this the PC version 1080p?
I think it can be.
I mean, is it true 1080p or is it just like
I don't know if it's a upres.
okay? I would imagine it's an upres, but it does run at 60 FPS.
Maybe. Yeah, definitely 60.
Um, so there are reportedly several game types in this multiplayer beta. The things that have been reported so far, and this is from Kotaku, is Team Deathmatch, which is originally not in Gears of War 1, if you're not aware of that. King of the Hill also was not in the original. There was Annex, which was introduced as DLC later down the road.
It's like first or second DLC.
There is supposedly a one life 1v1 shotgun, so basically duels. Now, you know what's funny about this is I actually had a video saying, hey, there should be something called like Cage Match that does 1v1 mid-boxes duels, basically, right? So this is, if it is true, it seems like this would be a good test bed to see if people actually want to play that, which I think they do. There's also supposedly a 1v1 sudden death Nashers only. I don't know what the difference between 1v1 shotgun and 1v1 sudden death Nashers only would be. Is it like force push? It's only like 10 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever sudden death is. Do you have to go push someone?
Yeah, I don't know.
I I don't know what that means. Or maybe there's only Nashers on the map versus 1v1 shotgun being more stuff on the map.
I don't know. I mean, I would assume they were doing like custom maps for these. Otherwise, it'd be kind of silly, I think.
I have no idea. Um, Supposedly 4v4, they're not actually calling it Execution or Warzone, but there was a 4v4 one life single round TDM is what they called it.
If I had to
Execution.
guess, that would be like they haven't built out execution yet, so they're just using that as a test bed.
Okay.
Like if I
Uh,
just from a game development sense, that's what makes sense to me.
right. And then there's also reportedly a 4v4 King of the Hill single round. So, look, some of these sound weird to me, which makes it hard for me. Like, the way they're explained, if you were a tester, right? So, here's why, I have to remain skeptical, and I think Colin has to remain skeptical as well. If you were a tester for this and you were leaking information, you would probably have played the original games at some point in time. And so you wouldn't describe the game modes as a TDM if it was 4v4 single round. Like, you wouldn't say TDM explicitly. You'd be like, hey, it's like Execution, or hey, it's like Warzone, but they're calling it this. That's how I would, if I was in the game and I said those things, I would say, hey, this is 4v4 Warzone and Execution. However, they're calling it TDM single round, but this is what it plays like, right? They didn't get that descriptive for whoever was leaking Kotaku this information, which makes me think it's like, you don't actually know what you're talking about.
It's also weird that just the more didn't come out of it. You know, like before it went live, we had a screenshot of the main menu supposedly. But then, like, when it went live, all of a sudden, like, no one wanted to post anything up. Like, they contacted that person in that time and got him to, like, cease and desist, you know?
Right. There was also reportedly some gameplay that was shown to both Polygon and Kotaku that they're like, oh, it's super confirmed.
It could just be, it'd be so funny if it's got one PC game.
Got one PC? I know. I know. That's my concern, because they can make some different maps, right? You could load up a map that's not normal.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, hey, this is this new map that you haven't seen because the game is 7 years old.
It'd be quite the ruse, though. Quite the ruse. It is kind of weird which ones they chose for the modes, too. If someone were to leak it and, like, make up shit, it's kind of a weird specific list. So
Right.
But it is also just weird specific, right? And terminology is weird.
Very, very strange.
Skeptical.
So then Polygon, if you guys have been looking at both of these articles, Polygon had an update to who was actually developing this game. So Colin, I want to have a little bit of discussion about the potential for this. Now, if you guys aren't aware, Epic Games, who I currently work for, no longer has Gears of War. It was sold to Microsoft last year in like February or March. And Microsoft has their own studio called Black Tusk Studios, who's been working on the Gears of War franchise now. So Black Tusk Studios is supposed to be working on the next gen Gears of War 4, whatever that new one is that's not this remaster, supposedly, according to Polygon. Now, Polygon reported that Splash Damage is working on Gears of War. I'm going to first, Colin, what do you think about that in terms of the developer behind it and the reports that it's them?
I think Splash Damage as a dev is fine. Obviously, Brink was a disaster. I think everyone kind of agrees on that. But they're essentially a AAA developer who has experience working on just MP titles. Like their whole backlog or their whole catalog is MP titles. They've done MP systems. They've done, most recently, they did Dirty Bomb, which is an MP shooter. So like they have experience with servers and network and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think they are exceedingly competent to be able to bring a game to modern platforms. It seems like it's kind of a no-brainer, personally.
Right.
So I don't really share like the hesitation where people are like, oh, but they messed up Brink, and it's like, it's apples and oranges, right? When you're porting over an existing property versus making a new IP, like they're really not comparable. You just need like technical competence is really, I think, the baseline. So like I guess that's my thoughts on it. I think Splash Damage do a fine job.
Okay. All right, that's fair. I'm more concerned about, they did Brink. They're currently like working on Dirty Bomb.
Yep.
Like they're actively working on Dirty Bomb. So
it hasn't officially released yet, I don't think.
Right. So it's like, for me, if they're accepting this as a project, I just wonder how many resources are being thrown on it. That's my major concern. Obviously, like you said, Brink was by all accounts a disaster from a player standpoint. I think a lot of people were hype about the game, played it, and they were like, "Oh, this is not what I thought it was." But Dirty Bomb, I played it at PAX 2 years ago, last year. I don't remember when I played it. I think it was last year, and it was fun.
I had just talked about it a couple weeks ago on the show.
Yeah, we have a video of you talking about it explicitly on the YouTube channel. So I mean, like Colin said, I don't have I don't have any doubts that they could put out a great product. My concern is like how like where their resources are being allocated right now. If they are indeed working on a Gears game now, I actually did a little bit of research into some of the job postings, which I think is what Polygon reported on. And there's a couple of things that are worth mentioning. One, they are hiring like some programmers, some different um, types of developers for the AAA project that they listed on their site. But they also explicitly stated that they needed to work with Unreal Engine 3, not the 4, not Unreal 4, Unreal Engine 3, which I think a lot of people, in C++, which a lot of people were like, Unreal Engine 3, huh? So I guess that's what kind of points towards them. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what other game used? What was that game that came out around the time of Gears of War that was like a space marine dude? Uh, there was articles on it on Kotaku because they like sued Epic.
Talking about Two Human?
Too Human. It could be Too Human.
Two Human 2?
Yeah. We don't know, right?
Uh, Boss Black Dante says Dirty Bomb is done in UE3.
Dirty Bomb also done in UE3? So they have experience with UE3, huh?
That's how you're going to turn that? They could have been hiring for Dirty Bomb, although I wouldn't call it a AAA project.
That is also possible. But it would have had to have been known, right? It's like it says something like a well-established
Yeah,
IP.
well-established IP.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, the only thing that would concern me is if people at the studio have any experience with Gears. Like, that'd be like my only kind of reservations, because Gears is pretty unique, I think, in the shooter space. It's definitely different to doing like a first-person shooter like Enemy Territory or Brink or Dirty Bomb. So it's like that'd be my only reservations.
Okay.
But again, they're porting a game that was made, so it's not like there's a lot of room for wiggling. And from judging people on Twitter, most people would just be happy if it came over 1-to-1.
Look, that's where we're gonna get over to our next.
I was transitioning.
I love that transition, Colin. Has Gears of War 1 aged well? That's the. I just look. There are some things that there's like I think there's a divide between some of. Let's just omit Gears of War 2 because you guys know I don't like Gears of War 2. I played it for a long time. We got a championship event under our belts playing Gears of War 2, but it was painful to play that game for me because the game was it was slower. It had a lot of bugs on release. There were things in it that we had to play on LAN that people didn't have to play online, like ragdoll stuns. Just not fun. That was not a fun experience for me. Made it very inconsistent and not very competitive, in my opinion. So we just won't discuss that. But I think there's a pretty big divide between at least some of the OGs that look at Gears of War 1 and say, yeah, that was a damn good game. And then they play Gears 3 and they were like, oh man, this has all the polish. I wish the retro wouldn't have got introduced. Movement is better, blah, blah, blah. I probably like Gears of War 3 better. I find myself probably leaning toward Gears of War 3 versus Gears of War 1. My main issues with Gears of War 3 came with balance across the board. Like, active reload was too strong. I didn't particularly care for the retro or the hammer burst. Obviously, the sawed off was a big point of contention the first like month and a half of the game. So, I mean, there were some things that got introduced into the game that I don't feel like made the experience that much better. But I think that Judgment got the weapon balance right. And Gears of War 1, to an extent, was pretty good with weapon balance. I think there was a lot more team shooting in Gears of War 1 than you needed to do for Gears of War 3 in terms of just downing of someone, right? Like, if you were playing Insanes or us, and you got, I always think of Clock Tower, you get up on Clock Tower, you know we had all of our spots, and people would get crossed to shit. But it took all of us to do that, or three of us, or whatever strat we were running, to actually put those people down. So that's something that I think that maybe for me, just in terms of the pure polish of Gears of War 3, puts it ahead of Gears of War 1. I think Gears of War 1 from just like an out of the box experience, maybe more fun. Maybe.
It's hard to say.
I mean, yeah.
Obviously, like most people, and I kind of fall into this group because I played Gears 1 maybe like a year ago. Like I came back to it and played for a little while. But I think most people fall into the boat of haven't played Gears 1 since Gears 2. You know, like they haven't gone back and played. So like putting on the nostalgia glasses, you might think of it as like it was a lot simpler game, it was more straightforward, so on and so forth. Obviously, there's a lot of things you could point to that just weren't really that great in Gears 1. If you look at it from like again, did it age well perspective, some of the stuff is like, shit, I don't know how I can go back to having the wall stickiness, the crab walking, the melee bound. Like, we have a list of shit. That's why I'm reading down. So, like, I don't know how I can go back to that kind of stuff. Or, like, the fact that shotgun in Gears 1...
was inconsistent as fuck.
Yeah, like, people in Gears 3 would call it sponging, right? Or Gears 2 even would call it sponging. Gears 1, it just felt broken at times. Like, the random factor was a huge component to being off-host in Gears 1. Gears 1 host felt fucking amazing. So, like, like it felt perfect, right? But, I mean, like, there's all these little network inconsistencies. There's lots of stuff that, if you start to mount it all back up next to each other, it quickly becomes more aged, right? And it quickly becomes evident that the game is really old. Like, it's a pretty old game. And it was the first game of its type, so like it was kind of working through a lot of the issues of like a cover-based shooter based on like this close quarters combat. Like it wasn't like Ghost Recon, for example, where you were kind of far poking at each other with machine guns. So like they had a lot of things to work through. Gears 2 addressed a lot of them while breaking a bunch of other shit. And Gears 3 was kind of like the most polished version of it, right? So going back to 2006 netcode, 2006 bugs, a new genre essentially. It's pretty interesting. I think that it's a huge barrier. Like if you were to just port the game 1-to-1, I think people would have trouble staying on it for very long, personally.
So you have a question. I'm going to pose this to chat, and obviously I want you to answer. I'll answer it as well. Will anything need to change for modern Gears audience to appreciate Gears 1's multiplayer or single player? If you like this video, you should probably click on the one down below. That'll take you to another video. You may like it. A little bit about me. I'm a former pro player. I play PC and console, mostly shooters. I also have a gaming podcast. I do tips and tactics, live gameplays. Check out my Twitch. Also, I work in the industry. Why are you not subscribed?